5 EMT.
So those are the one guys on base with no sense of humor ever.
Yeah. Today is July 18th, 2023. This is the Hannah City Village Council meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May be seated. First item up is public hearing on proposed variance of 4-foot fence. Entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Weaver, second by Trustee Johnston. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We are in a public hearing.
So you got to put some paperwork in your deck. On the screen, you'll see a picture of the house. This is Murphy Road here on the right. This is Joe Dan Court right here. So it's a kind of a corner lot.
They got little kids and people fly it down there.
So there is, right now, there's currently a pool sitting about right here. It's a 5-foot above ground pool. It is not currently compliant because you're not a 6-foot fence around it, and or they don't have the brackets on the side to take it to 6 feet. The guy came in and wanted to put a 6-foot fence, privacy fence, or some sort of 6-foot fence from around the back all the way up and then up the road. Problem is our code does not allow for 6-foot fence in front of the building line. So from here over, the fence can only be 4 feet here, and it has to be 50% see-through. And so what I've done is I told him he's got 2 options to mitigate the pool problem. One is he can move his pool back in this area and then put the 6-foot fence and bring it across here so it's enclosed with 6 feet on the fence. Or he can put the brackets on the pool, and then he doesn't need a fence up here because the brackets on the above ground pool are 6 foot. He said he's probably going to put the brackets on the pool, take the 6-foot privacy fence still here, go 50% see-through and 4 foot the rest of the way. So he still wants the fence variance, which is one we grant often, which is the 4 foot 50% see-through in front of the building front line. But it doesn't solve his pool problem.
And that's like an allowable variance. The code
It
actually
is.
says
The code
it's allowed,
says-
but you have to seek a variance to get it.
That's
All you gotta
exactly
do is
right.
drive posts in the ground.
Huh?
All you gotta do is drive posts in the ground next to his pool, and then attach the gate fence to it.
The only thing I'm saying is we're not approving anything related to the pool tonight. We're just approving that from the building line forward, he can have a 4 foot, 50% see-through fence, which is consistent with our code. I'm going to force him to do something else to mitigate the pool. He's either going to have to move it back or put brackets on it or do something around the pool to meet the 6-foot requirement.
Do the rules change on that though? Since they tear it down every fall.
It doesn't matter as
I
long as
said
there's
I
water
didn't
in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
18 inches or something.
Correct. And so I gave him till August 1st. I told him we would till August 1st you can have it, but after August 1st he either needs to have the bracket on it, 6-foot fence around it, tear it down, or drop the water to below 2 feet, and he knows that. But I just want to make it clear that what we're talking about tonight for the fence has nothing to do with the pool. We're going to mitigate that in a different way. It's just the normal. If they want something in front of the property line, they have to be 4 foot and 50% see-through. And the time I've been here, we've probably done 5 or 6 of those.
So if they put an 8-foot pole 2 feet in the ground and net around the pool, is that fine?
As long as there's 6 feet of something coverage. Yeah.
Because I kind of know.
Yeah.
Basically,
They're nice guys. Yeah. He's been very good on us.
I looked at that pool the first time they put it up, and I'm like,
yeah.
Somebody told me somewhere though that with those type of pools that it didn't comply to that rule. Well, I'm like, pool's a pool.
Yeah,
Right.
it doesn't matter water.
It's not a standing water.
Even if it's a blow up, even if it's just a pool, you have a ring on, you blow it up, and then add the water and it rises.
So
it's still in that.
planning met last night. They went through everything. They did the findings of facts. They made a recommendation to the board to approve the variance, and then we have an ordinance that Abby prepared in the deck to approve the variance, or that approves the variance for the 4-foot see-through, 50% see-through from the property line forward. So that'll be voted on actually during the planning and zoning part. During this part, we need to have open discussion about what they're trying to do.
Any comment from the?
It won't impede anybody from seeing traffic coming.
That's
No,
why you have to have the
see-through.
4-foot and 50% see-through around on the
Well,
corner.
I'm just saying because even with it being farther back behind the house, I mean, how far off the road is it going to be?
It's 10 foot off the property line is where the fence has to be.
Coming in this way? Okay.
Yeah. But the reason why the variance says if it's from the front of the property line, front of the house forward, has to be 4 foot and 50% see-through is to take care of the thing you're talking about, which is you can see that there's any traffic coming from the left side. I guess it would be if you're leaving.
I just
to
want to
go-
make sure it wasn't going on the road because
No,
I mean,
the rules is if you look at the drawing, it's 10 feet off the property line.
Okay.
Property line. Yep.
Any further discussion on the proposed variance? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Weaver. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We're no longer in public. So we have no guests. Everybody should have a copy of our June 6th. Hard to say that. It's over a month since we've been here.
Yeah.
Seems like.
Maybe longer for some of them.
Meeting minutes. There are no corrections, changes, or
Make a motion, we approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion by Johnson, second by Weaver. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Treasurer's report. Everybody should have a copy of the treasurer's report. I didn't see anything crazy in there.
Agreed.
Other than I wish I had the money that we were giving out on America.
Me too.
There's no questions or concern. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion by Trustee Weaver to approve the treasury report and pay all outstanding minutes. Bills. Blech. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Johnson.
Is that roll call?
Any further discussion? Roll call. Weaver?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Purcell? Yes. Motion carries. Engineers report, Brian?
No, Brandon, and what I have asked him to do is look into the cost to compare what is the ground water storage unit plus the pump and fixing our existing tower cost versus putting in the 200,000 gallon tower, just to look at the difference in the cost.
Between what now? Fixing our tower?
Fixing our tower and then putting in 100 to 150 gallon tank, ground storage tank with a pump that would pump it up into just to see if it was any cheaper. That came up when we were having discussions on our water source issue, and I didn't ask him to spend a ton of money on it, or just do a little back of the napkin thing to see what that would cost. Like, he wasn't able to be here tonight, so we'll do that at the next meeting.
Okay. Treasury report, Ms. Abby.
I have nothing to report tonight.
Oh, line along. Long one. Mr. Baylor.
So in the deck, you've got June financial results. This is month 2 of the new fiscal year. I'll try to go through it fairly quickly. It's good. If you look at the June results, follow the center column down, the blue numbers. We had income of $199, expenses of $103, so we were positive $95,520. We're doing better on our budgeting. We thought we'd be positive $82,801. I think the property tax was a little better than we expected. But it also looks like our costs were a little higher, and I'll speak to that a little bit later. But we're a good positive variance for the month of June. Then if you look at the individual areas, you break those down, look at the next. General was up 66. Again, that's pretty much driven by property tax. Water, we've got 2 months of, I think last month was 8,000 of the positive. This month is 10,000 of the positive. So even though our bill's big, I think our pricing structure right now is helping us, at least for 2 months, showing that we've got a good trend starting in terms of covering our cost and our capital structure. Sewer now is combined. Lagoon and sewer is combined. So that account is picking up some property tax from the lagoon. So that's why it's positive. And then garbage is going to be about that 1,100 to 1,200 positive every month. MFT, we had income of $45.28, which is pretty close to what we budgeted. No expenses. Although this week we're going to start with the oil and chip program, so we'll have expenses coming. TIF, we had $32,203, so that's really good in terms of income. Property tax, big month for that. Remember, 80% of the residential dollars in that $32,000 get gifted back to the other taxing bodies. So that $32,000 is really not all ours. We'll give 80% of the residential incremental amount back to other folks. But still, that number continues to climb, so TIF is growing. BDD, we were a little below on our income. Our expenses were higher because we approved expenses on some of the grants. Sales tax this month, I think, was pretty much on target budget-wise, but it was maybe a little bit low. But I think our sales tax, for whatever reason, is not as robust as what we thought it might be this year. So in summary, monthly positive $95,520. General was plus $66,000. Property taxes driving that. We did have 2 police invoices because we missed one in April. We had teed up for the troops that month as well, so that was something that was budgeted for, but that came in during that month, and it was also a 5-week payroll month, so our costs were a little higher for that. Water sales were $6,000 higher than expected, plus Illinois funds. I think I basically budgeted $20,000 roughly, and I think we're going to bring in roughly closer to $40,000. So we're seeing positive results as of the Illinois funds. Sewer was plus 18. Property tax is driving that. We did have a lift station expense of $3,500. It was in those numbers, but that was ARPA covered, so we would transfer cash from ARPA or from savings to cover that. And then garbage was plus 1,200. Look at the next slide. MFT again, positive 45.28, but we're going to see program expenses in the next 2 months. TIF was positive. I talked about property tax. BDD was negative, but that was sales tax was a little bit lower, so income was down, and the grant expenses that we approved were in there. Year to date, again, it's a strong number. Income is $321.44, so better than planned. Expenses were $187,090, which was better than planned. So we're $133,054 through 2 months positive, so that's great. And then if you look at the breakdown of that, general was $88,000 positive, unemployment basically break even. Water $18,812 year to date, so not only just covering our costs but covering our capital. Sewer was good, and that's again property tax driven. And like I said, garbage is going to bring us in $1,100 a month or so, $1,200 a month positive. So all good there. MFT year to date, we're just a little bit positive. Our income's tracking our expenses, but we're going to spend a bunch of money in the next month. TIF, no expenses yet. The property tax was strong, so that number's up higher. BDD were negative by $8,700, but again, that'll catch up over time with as the income comes in and as we spend the money for the grant programs and so forth.
So we've had 2 months that are actually down on BDD.
We have on the income side.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they were running like 12 a month for a long time.
The first month was really bad. This month was what, 10?
Yeah, that other one had to be under 9 or 9.
It was like 8 and some change.
Yeah, I wonder what that is. I think that'd be steady as can be every month.
I don't know. The only thing is, it seems like our sales tax in general is down.
Yeah.
Right, and so then that means the 1% that for BDD is going to be down. The only thing we can point to is Dollar General's been shut down some, so I don't know
They
if
were a
that's
little bit, but they've been up
Yeah.
and remodeled.
so I don't know if that's impacting us at
I
all.
think Casey's probably has. They've had issues too.
But it seems to us.
Yeah, you're right. They've had
I
times they couldn't
just
sell
think
gas
that-
and the computers were down.
I think
Yeah.
people are now going out of town.
All of our
And
other
shopping.
taxes seem to be up, but sales tax is dragging.
I hope Dollar General bounces back because what's kind of nice in there now.
Yeah. Yeah, I love having it. I bought a watermelon last night.
So
So
put it that way right away.
year to date, again, all the same stories. Then, if you look at cash, so we've got another good start to cash. Checking's at 838,467, so we're up 93,000 for the month, and year to date, 119,000. Savings is up. There's $1,066,000, so we're up 20,000 for the month, 41,000 year to date. So total, we're right at 1.9, a little over total cash. So our monthly variance is 114 more cash than last month and 160 year to date. So all in all, still strong performance. And then the next sheet shows you the cash breakdown of each of the accounts. So up there in that top right corner, year to date cash for the operating account is $91,000 to the good. I think the P&L says we're $95,000 to the good. So there's only $3,000 or $4,000 difference there. And I think the main thing there is we didn't transfer the
3,500.
the 3,500 for the
Comes here in July. ARPA.
the ARPA money into checking yet. So that would put us pretty close. But otherwise, BDD was down because we spent more than we brought in, but everything else is positive. So cash flow wise, we're looking good too. That is it,
Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
sir.
Finance, Mr. Chervali.
Nothing.
Okay. Planning and zoning, Mr. Johnson.
Just the ordinance for the variance.
So basically, and Abby, you can weigh in if you want to here, but this ordinance basically just says what we covered already, that we're going to grant them the ability to put in the 4-foot, 50% see-through fence from the building line forward. Doesn't have anything to do with fixing the pool problem. I'll deal with that stuff.
Yep, that's correct.
Before you,
Make a motion to approve the ordinance.
an ordinance granting variance from the Village of Hannah City Code Section 154.238D2 for the property of 12103 Jodan Court, Hannah City, Illinois.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a motion by Johnson. Have a second.
Nobody's reading.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, second.
By Weaver. The ordinance number will be ordinance 23-07-01. And all those, I don't need to roll call that one, do I, Abby?
I always default to yes, just because it doesn't hurt anything if you roll call it. But if you don't roll call it and it needed to be roll called, then it could void the vote. So I
Okay.
always do roll call.
Okay, we'll roll call it. Miller?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Purcell, yes. Weaver?
Yes.
Motion carries.
So Abby, we need a signed stamp, and then what do we need to do with that? Just file it on our own? Does it need to go anyplace else?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. If I find out it does, I'll let you know. But I think you should just file on your own. It's fine for now.
Okay.
Planning and zoning done? Caleb?
Are you done?
Oh, yeah, end of report.
Sanitary sewer repair.
Okay, I'll cover it for him. So just like we did with the streets, we built a multi-generational plan, and in your deck you see that sheet. And so basically what I did is I took our current savings total and I rounded up. It's 179 and some change, but we roughly have $180,000 in the sewer capital account right now. Every month we're putting aside $4,500 additional, so that means over a 12-month period of time we're going to add $54,000 to our capital savings for sewer. So that means for this year, this calendar year, we got 180 plus the 54 we're going to set aside. That means we have $234,000 to spend. Year one, and we've got two quotes in here, and I use the worst case one. We've got one from Hair Construction, and we also have one from J.C. Dillon. I put Dillon's in there because it was the highest, and I just wanted to use worst case. We would be recommending using the Hair one because it's lower, but for the math on the going out the number of years, I use the higher one. So year one, basically, and I've got a map here if you guys want to see it. Caleb's already looked at it. But just like with the streets, he's showing every year for the next 6 years where we would line the sewers. So year one, we do one section on Robin Court, 3 sections on 3rd Street, 1 section on Nora, and 1 section on Lakeshore. The total cost of that would be, worst case, $84,171, best case, $78,000 and some change. So then I subtract that from the 234, I get the balance of $149,829. Again, next year we're going to bring in another $54,000, so that gives us a total of $203,829 to spend. Year two, and again, these are estimates. We'll adjust them as we move forward. Year two, we're 3rd Street, 1 section, 2nd Street, 1 section, Main Street, 2 sections, Chicago Street, 1 section. Anyway, long story short, you do that every year for 6 years. And we basically, after 6 years, we have the complete town with the sewers relined, with the exception of Country Air subdivision, which he thinks is PVC and probably isn't a problem because it was put in later. But in year 6, we'd have $70,164 left over. And then you put aside another $54,000, so we'd still have $125,000, and we thought we'd TV that after that and see if there's anything that we need to do. Bottom line is we put together a plan where we spend roughly $65,000 to $75,000 a year, putting aside $54,000 in capital. The balance we're pulling from our savings, and in 6 years we virtually have the town's sewer system completely relined. So that's the plan, and I guess I'll entertain any thoughts or questions on that. And again, we can always move the streets around or whatever. But the thing the only vote we need is the next thing in your deck is you've got a proposal from Hair Construction for $78,240. That's the one we would recommend. And then there's also one for J.C. Dillon for the $84,171. So we'd be asking tonight for you guys to approve the set spend of the $78,240 as the first year of spend of this plan. And then we would pull that money from our capital savings and get on down the road of getting the sewers relined. And so, just like we're doing with streets, every year we would do another 2,000 linear feet, basically.
Make a motion, we approve the hair quote for $78,240.
Second.
I have a motion by Johnson. I have a second by Weaver. Any further discussion? Roll call. Johnson?
Yes.
Purcell, yes. Weaver?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I don't have anything underwater unless you have the.
I do not have anything underwater.
Yeah, I'm still wet at the report.
Buildings ground, Mr. Weaver?
Nothing to report.
Streets and alleys?
Like we have a couple bids on getting a tree removed at First and Logan.
Just outside of Katie's Overex house. It's in the right of way, and the tree's dead, and she just doesn't want it to fall on her fence or whatever, but it is ours. Roger went and looked at it, so we got 2 quotes to
Two quotes, one from Cut Above for total of $23.50. One from Buskirk for $2,000.
Our recommendation is Buzzkirk, but we'll do whatever.
I make a motion that we hire bus crew crews to do the tree removal
Second.
for 2,000.
Motion by Weaver, second by Johnson. Any further discussion? Roll call it. Weaver,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Purcell, yes. Motion carries.
So I have oil and chips starting this week.
Yeah, they'll sweep Wednesday and they'll do it Thursday and Friday. The issue we have is with the Ameren being in town, the Chicago, Peoria, and Logan streets are pretty torn up. So Roger worked with Joe at the engineering group, and they basically looked at the amount of footage or whatever and coverage area. And basically what we're going to do is replace and put Hannah in and pull out Chicago, Peoria, and Logan and do them later because they've got it all torn up and it'd be hard to do. So we're still getting the same coverage, still the same price. We're just switching Hannah for Chicago, Peoria, Logan. We're still doing Maine and everything else that we were going to do. So it should be done by Friday, I would hope.
Were we going to message the people about the oil and chips so they can cover the driveways?
Yeah, they put Tracy put out a communication today,
Okay.
letting them know where we were going to go and so forth. We'll follow up with that. But she told them to not park there. Sweeping will happen on Wednesday, and that they're actually going to do the work Thursday and Friday. So yes,
Then how far are they going to go down to Hannah? You know,
they're doing the whole thing.
Maine all the way to Kansas City, Glassford. Okay, because we just need to let the tap know too.
Yeah. By the way, they're putting in. I don't know if you saw that, but they're putting
Sidewalk.
She signed her paperwork and they're putting the sidewalk in, and we talked about the
They
ADA
poured some
stuff.
today.
Huh?
They poured some today.
They did.
Up at,
The old Kansas City tap.
town.
Okay, CEDC. Everybody should have a copy of the BDD commercial renovation program for the hog trough. Everybody has signed off on it. Julie submitted her paid invoices, copies of her checks, and I would like to go ahead and get her reimbursement. So she spent $23,125 to have her parking lot completely black or pulled out, grinded down, and they re-blacktop and they'll seal coat and a little later once it gets finished up. But she's already spent over the limit, so it'd be nice to go ahead and be able to get that reimbursement back to her. I entertain a motion to go ahead and pay the hog trough of Julie Hubie, 12808 West Farmington Road, Hannah City, Illinois, for reimbursement of $15,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Weaver, second by Johnson. Any further discussion? Roll call it. Miller,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Purcell, yes. Weaver,
Yes.
Motion carries. And if you'll let me know when you have a check ready for that, we'll do a presentation again. I'll come grab Tracy and we'll go do a presentation.
I'll get it ready tomorrow. That way Jeff can sign it.
Okay. I won't be here tomorrow.
It's fine. I'll just let you know.
Okay.
I'll have it ready.
The next one under that is BDD residential development grant for Eric and Deborah Peterson at 12425 West Farmington Road. They had siding.
Home soffit and fascia replacement. This is a building, the home they call the Oaks or whatever it is.
Okay.
Just down
Oak
from
tree.
the Oak Tree, is that what it's called?
We have a copy of the paid invoice, copy of their cancel check. So everything meets the requirements.
Approved by Glenn.
Approved by Gwen. Thank you. I forgot to say that on the last one. So I would entertain a motion to go ahead and pay out the BDD residential development grant for them for the amount of $3,258.75.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Weaver. Any further discussion? Who am I on?
Eric.
Johnson.
Sure.
Yeah.
Johnson last time.
I thought it was Johnson last time too.
I thought it was
I wrote Miller, Johnson, Frixell, Weaver.
So Johnson,
yes.
Frixell, yes. Weaver,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
motion carries.
And on CEDC, just a couple things. Hannah City TAP did sign the paperwork, so we're moving forward with that. I'm working with Glenn on getting that project covered and paid for. And then I've not heard anything from Zane's. Still waiting on them to determine. And that paperwork, once it's signed, I need copies of that so I can send it to Glenn. We're cruising.
I don't know the deal from them. They're down to 2 tax.
Really? It's slow.
It's not slow, they just can't get nobody hired.
I was gonna say it doesn't look like they're slowing down work wise. It's just
Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, the offer still stands, right? We've got it out there. And they know the ball's in their court, so I'm not trying to press them or anything. They need to do it when it makes sense for them.
So Mr. Miller, incident reports.
I thought I had more than what I do, but just from July 9th to the 15th, 10 calls. 4 to Casey's for business checks. Nothing major. Couple parking violations. 4 just to Casey's. So
I
there
know.
was, there
How
was
many
10
did
all
you
10 altogether. Nothing crazy.
Anything else, sir?
No.
Okay. Other business. Brian, I'll let you speak to the.
Okay, so some of you may or may not know, we have an agreement, or we had an agreement with a company called ProChamps. And what ProChamps did is they track any foreclosures or vacant properties in our area. They billed those people. I think it was $300. They kept 100. We kept 100. They take 200. I can't remember the exact.
It was 50.
Was it 50?
175.
Okay, 175 a piece. And so what ended up happening is ProChamps got out by a joint venture or a VC company. Help me. Anyway, somebody that squeezes all their costs out. Venture capital. Squeezes all their costs out, and eventually they went bankrupt. What ended up happening, so we don't have ProChamps anymore to manage that program for them. And we're getting calls from banks all the time saying, who's your program? Who's your program through? The lawyer that was doing the work with that group spun off this company called Hera
Property Registry.
PropertyRegistration.com, and our contact, the sales guy that sold us through ProChamps, still works. He went with them and still works for them. They've sent us a professional service agreement to change from ProChamps to them, and they would begin to represent us. Everything remains the same except for they do enforcement services just when it comes to vacant and foreclosed properties. So if we're not having the things done that need to be done there, they follow up with them rather than us, which ProChamps didn't do. And the financials are pretty much the same. I've had Abby review the document. She's pretty happy with it, with the exception of a FOIA question, which she can present. And so I would say after you hear her thoughts on FOIA, we can either modify it and vote on it, or we can vote on it as is if you don't have to share the concerns she has on FOIA. Abby, you want to share your thoughts?
Yeah, so the agreement doesn't really mention FOIA at all in it. My only suggestion was to add some sort of clause or article in it that simply states like the parties to the contract are required to comply with any FOIA requests that come in through the village. That way they understand that there's a deadline they have to follow, and you can get your information on time for those deadlines, just to make sure that's in the agreement, and that all the parties know that at the time of signing, even though, FOIA's, big law pretty much everywhere. So that's my only suggestion, is to make sure there's some sort of clause in there that requires them to comply with FOIA requests by the deadlines.
So I guess what we would vote on is we would, if you all are in agreement, we would approve the contract. We'd give me the permission or Tony the permission to sign the agreement, assuming that they did the FOIA. They took responsibility for the FOIA portion, and Abby signed off on it. Or we can do it as is, whatever you guys think that you want to do.
Got the attorney's recommendation.
Should we make a motion to approve?
Yeah,
The
which we
professional
approve with the
service.
attorney's recommendation.
Give the Tony the permission to sign it, assuming FOIA stuff meets
Correct.
the attorney's legal. Yep.
Motion by Johnson, second by Weaver. Any further discussion?
So once that pro champ went away, people were calling asking who was doing this for us now.
Correct. So
It's
the
become
banks,
that common, they just called
Correct.
who you using the
we
representative.
probably had, I bet we've had 6 or 7.
I had an email on
Yeah.
it.
They just want to know who we're working with in case there's an issue that comes up.
Oh, gosh.
So they're canvassing all the pro champs people, saying if something comes up in your area, who do we work with? And so we want to get this in
So
place.
this service has become that common. The banks actually go out and seek who do we come. Wow. Right.
And again, we don't make a ton of money. What do we? Maybe
Maybe $300 every couple months.
I was going to say 1,500 or
Yeah, something like that. It's
$2
not-
grand a year or something like that. But it's still better than a kick in the head, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, we have we know we have information on all the vacant and foreclosure properties, so we have names, addresses, all that stuff we can follow up on. So that's good too.
So we'll roll call it. Weaver?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I have a document on that
Did you
company if you
say
guys are
yourself
interested.
yet?
Yes. Main Street, it's firehouse from Main Street, from the firehouse to Hannah Street, will be closed July 31st and August 1st from 9:30 to 4. They will notify residents of this closure.
For what?
Host testing.
Oh,
Right, it was testing.
It's always, they do it every year, they do their hose testing. Anything else to come before the board?
Look at that. Gone a month and we killed it.
Next board meeting is August 1st, 2023. One last thing to come up before the board. I have classes that I need to take for my work. So if I know that's scheduled out, can I schedule out a pro tem ahead of time, Abby?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So at our August 1st meeting, we'll put that on the agenda, Brian.
Okay.
And I'll have those dates of my classes by then. So it'll be, I think there's 3 or 4 Tuesdays that I will miss.
Does anybody have anything else that they know of that we have to put on the next agenda? Other than that?
No.
my report.
But nothing else come for the board. Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, Abby.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.
6:38.
For everything we had to do, man.
Record time.